Hi, this is Dan Bullard, retired electronics engineer out here in the front deck of my houseboat again. Let's talk about that, okay? I've talked about a lot of electronics and harmonics and all kind of crazy stuff, but I want to talk about what does it mean Dan's on his houseboat again. I live on my houseboat, and I used to have two homes, 2,300 square foot house, and this was it. It was a beautiful house, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. I was constantly working on toilets until I figured out how the Sloan Flushmate worked, and I filled everything, the whole house, with Sloan Flushmates. I ended up with a second home out on the Columbia River because when I was working for Credence, I was making big bucks, and my stock options were coming through. And with one set of stock options, I bought this boat, a 95 Stingray. And I already had a sailboat, but I sold it off and I bought the Stingray, and I loved that Stingray. And we started taking it out on Hag Lake and Detroit Lake and all kinds of other fun places. And we eventually took it out on the Columbia River. And I really enjoyed going on the Columbia. We found a place called Caterpillar Island, which I really loved. And one time we went around the backside of Caterpillar Island, and there were all these floating homes back there. And one of them was for sale. And I'm like, geez, I got like money burning a hole in my pocket. I was, like I said, I was making big bucks, doing great work for Credence. And so I went and looked at it, and they wanted $8,000 for this floating home in this little marina. So I'm like, I can't resist. So I scraped up the 8,000 bucks and paid for it, and we moved on board. Well, didn't move on board, but we set it all up for us, and it was fantastic. I loved what we call it Dark Water Keep. I loved it. We got a power drop. It had no power when we bought it. I got a power drop for it, paid the fees and the permits and all that stuff to get a power drop installed, and we had a wonderful time. And then the state of Washington came in there and fucked us over. So I went crazy. I thought I was going to lose everything. And we got a hold of our congressman in Washington, the congressman for that district, and said, hey, can you guys do something about these bastards that are trying to throw us off the river? And so they went downstream, just downstream a little bit from us was a marina called Cato's Marina. And they went down there and they said, we'd like you to take these people who have this floating home. And Cato's was like, why do we want that? And the state of Washington said, it'll make your life easier if you take them. So they must have thought we had some kind of inside deal with the people at the state, but we didn't. We made a fuss and they came through. So we moved over to Cato's Marina, and we stayed there for quite a while. It was really cool. I really loved Cato's Marina, except the fact that in the late summer and fall, we would ground on it. It was terrible. We would ground, and it was just miserable. The floats would ground, and the house would creak and groan and go all crooked and wonky, and it was an old wooden house, and it just wasn't holding it together. And so we started looking for an alternative, and one potential alternative was a houseboat with motors. And the keep was lovely, but you can't go anywhere, and if the state comes along again and says, get out, there's nothing you can do. And I mean, we got lucky once, but I wasn't going to count on getting lucky again. So we went and started looking at floating homes and houseboats and all kinds of stuff, boats. We thought maybe we could buy a boat that we could live on. And like I said, we had 2 homes, and my house in Loa was so full of stuff. Loa, Oregon, was so full of stuff, and I couldn't imagine getting rid of it. But at Nextest, they were working me like a dog, making me travel, which I specifically told them when I interviewed with them and we negotiated for me starting at Nextest. I told them I didn't want to travel, and they understood that. And then pretty soon, I'm traveling like an asshole. In fact, my boss said, I'm going to glue your ass to an airplane seat. And I'm like, I thought we had to talk about this, you know? It was bad. And so I decided, that's it. I'm paying this mortgage. I'm paying for all these other things. The only thing I owned was the floating home on the Columbia, and I wasn't going to live on that because when it grounded, it just got ugly. And so we decided to go look at houseboats at the Seattle Boat Show, and we saw a lot of different stuff, and we found a houseboat by this maker in Tennessee, in Columbia, Tennessee, by the way. So I used some of my frequent flyer miles because I had flown so much. Two of us flew first class to Tennessee. It was freaking great. And we went to Tennessee and we looked at the factory and we saw how they built these things, and I was pretty thoroughly impressed, although I'm an easy mark. So we decided, okay, that's it. We're going to get rid of the house. We're going to get rid of the keep. We're going to get rid of all of our other stuff. And we're going to buy this houseboat. I worked like a dog to get the house fixed up, the Aloha house fixed up, so we could sell it. And the market was starting to roll off. We were starting to get into some bad stuff. So 2006, 2007. Eventually, we did get the house fixed up, and we did get a buyer. So we moved into an apartment, and I was working at Maxim by that time. I had quit Next Test, even though they begged me to stay. I'd quit Next Test and gone to work for Maxim, which was also in Oregon, and I got an apartment near Maxim, and so we got rid of everything. We had nothing left, nothing. And so we ordered this boat. It was a 50-foot long, 14-foot wide houseboat, but it was built kind of like an RV. In fact, they had originally built RVs, and they just started doing floating homes or houseboats. And so we ordered it, and with a washer and dryer, 2 engines. I mean, the engines themselves were $10,000 each. And it was a really nice houseboat. So we ordered it. I kept working. They delivered it, and we picked it up and put it in the water, and the rest is history. Now, you can follow that whole story on my webpage, www.danbuller.com/Dan/GA, GA for Great Ambition. Great Ambition is a name we came up with based on a Twilight Zone episode called A Stop at Willoughby. And it was my favorite episode, and the wife came up with a really cool idea. We would call it Great Ambition because the wife in that episode gives a speech about how, you know, she's unfortunately married to a guy whose great ambition in life is to be Huckleberry Finn. That's my great ambition in life, is to be Huckleberry Finn, to be on the water. I've lived in homes. I had a house in San Jose. I had a house in Aloha, Oregon, big house with 3 kids and 4 bedrooms and a hot tub and the whole shebang. I lived good. I lived really good. But it required that I had a mortgage. And if you watch the movie Thank You for Smoking, his excuse for representing the tobacco companies is that everybody's got a mortgage. Well, not me. I sold my house. I got the money. I got the cash. I got this houseboat shipped out here. We put it in the water and we own it outright. We don't owe anybody anything. We own all our cars, and we reduced everything to the bare minimum. I eventually sold the Stingray and bought another little boat, little pontoon boat we bought from a dealer in Colorado. So we had to drive from Oregon to Colorado to pick it up. But Little Ambition, so we got Great Ambition, Little Ambition. Little Ambition is our little car on the water, and we use that for going, running around, enjoying the water when we can't take the big houseboat out. So the big houseboat is where we live, and that's where I am right now. And I have a great view. This is my front deck. because we park Monaco style. That means the engines are by the dock, and we stick out a long way, so we get like over, I would say, around a 270-degree view off the front deck. It's friggin' great. So when I say Dan Bullard on the river, let me tell you, it's friggin' outstanding. I'm out here, my heater is running, it's cold and foggy, but I love it. We have our floating home, our houseboat. We can go places. We go to Coon Island. We've even been back to Cayos Marina and enjoyed things there. And we take this thing out. We're solar powered. We have a water maker that I designed and built. And so I can make my own water. And we've been away from the dock for as long as 45 days, twice. Once in Vancouver Lake and once at Caterpillar Island. And it's lovely. I can go anywhere I want. It's a good life. Or as we say around here, it's a rough life. But somebody's got to do it. Anyway, that's enough for that. I hope you enjoyed that. Once again, from the river, this is Dan Bullard. See you later.